I'm starting today's LEGO City update by adding a new building I've designed over the past few days. Also, I'll be continuing the progress on the LEGO mountain, as well as further working on the overhead lines I've started in the last video. For the building, I've used dark tan for the lower floor, as well as sand blue for the upper two floors. I think the two colors really mix well together, and then I've done the detailing by adding white stripes in between the different floors. When it comes to the building techniques, I've simply used brick modifieds covered with sand blue tiles, and this curved window is built into the facade using hinges. This also highlights the white stripes in between the different floors. For the roof, I've used dark bluish gray slopes because that helps the building fit to the rest of the houses on the upper platform. When it comes to the mountain progress, I've messed up at the beginning this time. This will be later corrected because my main problem this time was that I maybe was a bit too over-motivated because I haven't continued building the mountain for I think a month now, and then I'm always really looking forward to finally continuing such a big project. And the main problem I had this time is I didn't really check the progress from the other perspective. And as you can see, the current state of what I've added to the mountain doesn't really fit to the rest of what I've built. Alright, so I think I need to share my thoughts with you before I continue building. I'm not quite satisfied with the building progress so far, especially when it comes to the rock structure in front right here. It's a bit too flat to my liking, and also what I want to add are a few more of these green patches I've added on the left side of the mountain. I think that's lacking at the moment in this area, so that's one thing I think I'll add right now. And also the main problem I had this time is I spent 3 hours constantly building without changing into the viewer's perspective, so this perspective I'm having right now. And this is one thing I definitely should have done. I wanted to get the speed build done in one take. That was the problem I had. So that's one thing I definitely need to learn from this time. Every hour or so I need to change my position in order to adjust what I'm building. The only really good thing in this situation right now was that I had the whole support structure built from the progress before, so it wasn't as time consuming as I feared beforehand. And during this speed build, when I disappeared right now, I was actually checking the progress from the other perspective, so I learned from my mistakes. Next up, there are a few corrections I need to do when it comes to the overhead lines we've started to build last week. And the main problem was there were a few spots where the cables were a bit loose and simply not tight enough. And also I wanted to add one more thing that I'll share with you live. Next up, to add more realism to the overhead lines, my plan is to add these sort of weights you can see down there. I've already started the design process. I'm not quite sure if I like the studs in between the round plates, but well, that's just the process and we'll see about that. By the way, the weight in real life is added in order to tighten the overhead lines. In my case, it's obviously just decoration. I fixed the weight by adding a 1x1 brick modified with a stud to the side, then added a pin for my first try. Although I gotta say I didn't really like that because the pin was a bit too thick. So then I decided to change that bar into a normal string, and also I removed the studs in between the plates of the weight. So this is what this corner looks like with the added mast as well as the weight. As you can see, the train easily passes by. This is something I've checked this time instead of last update where only realized it as soon as I tested the train. So this is something I paid attention to this time. Then the next thing is these silver cables are a bit too prominent. So that's why I'm planning to change them to these sort of Lego strings that exist because they are thinner and darker. This is what the mountain looks like. I really like that we now have some of the rock work showing on the right side of this mountain. That wasn't the case before. And then lastly, we have the new building I've added. I think that fits really well into the row of houses. And with that being said, that's it for this week's LEGO City update. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again in the next one.